Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Washing Dishes, and Happy Hanukkah! It's that time of year, and I'm Jewish, which means it's time to make everybody's favorite Hanukkah treat, Latkes, potato pancakes. Uh, Latkes are traditionally served with sour cream or applesauce, so I've got some apples here. Hey, I got that on the first try. Nice. So we're going to make some homemade applesauce, which I haven't done in, years. So I'm going to use a riff on the Serious Eats recipe, which I really like. It's the one I made when I made it a little while ago, and it worked out great. So I've got some Granny Smith and some Honeycrisp apples. We're going to chop those up, get them in a pan, get them going, and then we'll start talking about potatoes. Enjoy.
In my case, for seasonings in there while they cook, I went with some cinnamon that we're going to pull out later, some orange zest, and some ginger. And for the vinegar, you can use a number of things. To keep with the apple theme, used cider vinegar, and I used about an ounce of it, maybe an ounce and a quarter. And then about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and just enough water to cover, and then we're just going to let them cook until they're nice and soft. Once we've got everything nice and soft, we're going to load it into a food mill. In my case, I'm using a food mill. You could absolutely use an immersion blender or a food processor or a potato ricer or any number of other things. The food mill has the advantage, or maybe disadvantage, depending on your opinion, of separating the skins out. I wanted to have a nice smooth applesauce, partially because my little nephew is going to have some of this on Hanukkah, which is also why I used brown sugar instead of honey. And so I wanted it to be easy to eat. But you could, if you used a food processor or an immersion blender, you would have a little bit more texture because of the skins being in there. But I'm using a really nice old vintage food mill that I absolutely love, mostly for fun. But yeah, use the tools you have. You could just mash this up with a fork for all it matters, or a potato masher by hand. It's easy. Let the kids do it while you're working on other things with the potato masher. Whatever. Anyway, I apologize. I didn't get a top-down view of this because I didn't think about it at the time. But you can see what's going on here. It's just mashing it against the plate as I crank, and then I back it up to clear it, and then I crank some more, back and forth until everything comes through. So we're going to grate the potatoes because I actually did that while the apples were cooking. It just made more sense to put all of the applesauce stuff together in the same little segment. Anyway, we're grating these on the large holes of a box grater for a couple of reasons. One, I like my latkes to be fairly... I'm trying to think of the word shaggy is the best I can come up with in texture. You could use the smaller holes or a smaller grater and it would totally be fine. I'm grating these into a bowl of tap water, which will reduce but not completely prevent browning. And it will also allow the loose potato starch to come off of the potatoes and into the water so that we can then use that potato starch in our mixture, in our latke mixture later. Anyway, it's going to take me a little bit to burn through all of these potatoes, so let's go ahead and tear through that. Or I guess I have been tearing through it. We're going to get this done, and then we'll get on with the rest of the latke mixture. And our next component is going to be some white onions that we're just going to peel and grate on the same holes as we grated the potatoes. It'll give us some nice even consistency in both our texture of like mouthfeel texture, and also it'll make sure everything cooks evenly. So we're just going to grate those and let them drain, and then we're almost ready to mix things up. It's not a complicated recipe, and it's, nice and easy, and, something you can do in large batches. So let's go ahead and finish grating these, and then it's on to the next step.
I'm going to give a quick little demo of how I'm going to wring out the liquid from the potatoes. But my sink's over there, and I'm filming here, and it's inconvenient. So watch this, and then I'm going to TV magic drain the rest. So I'm just taking like a hefty handful, popping it in the middle of a clean kitchen towel. I'm going to pull the corners up, and then obviously do this over the sink, but I'm just going to take it and twist and twist and twist until the water comes out, and then keep twisting until there's no more liquid draining out. And then you've got some nice dry potatoes that are ready for the next step of the process. All right, I'm going to go do that a bunch more times off camera. Back in a flash.
With the potatoes dried, we're going to go ahead and let the liquid that's left in the bowl sit for a few minutes. This is just a time lapse of like 5 minutes or 5 or 7 minutes. And you can see the layer of white potato starch building up at the bottom and settling out. And we're going to go ahead and use that in our mixture to kind of help as a binder. So let's go ahead and get on to mixing things up.
Now that this has had some time to settle out, I'm going to pour off the water and pull out the potato starch. You can also just buy potato starch. You can also just use flour, or really any combination thereof. I bought potato starch, so that's what I'm going to use. But I also have flour. So let's pour this off, and we'll start mixing them up. So we ended up with about a tablespoon or so of potato starch, which is going to be close to enough. I'm probably going to add a little bit more. But yeah, let's get our taters in. Our onion, and I added like about 4 cloves worth of minced garlic in there. And then we're going to go with 3 eggs. The eggs are obviously just in here as a binder. Kind of keep them from falling apart too much in the pan. Oh, no shit. Okay. Good. All right. And then, so, I think but don't know that I'm going to need some of this, so I'm going to open it before my hands are covered in goo. There we go. And a spoon, in case I need it. All right, let's get in there. Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and mix this by hand and then check and see if they hold together. And
Not quite. So we'll add a little starch. That's looking better. Yeah, that's holding together good. All right. Ooh, I forgot to season these. All right, I'll season these and then we'll start frying them up.
frying these up is never an exact science. You generally just kind of have to do 1 or 2 and hope it goes okay. I ended up at a total of 8 minutes, doing 3 minutes on the first side and 5 minutes on the second side. But your mileage is going to vary based on how well your pan conducts heat, how well it holds heat, how powerful your stove is, a lot of different factors. If you could deep fry these, it might be traditional. I actually don't know that for sure. But do a couple of test ones and then dial it in. So, like I said, I ended up taking 3 minutes on the first side, 5 minutes on the second side. That's probably a good starting place. But honestly, you can tell. Like, once it holds together, it's ready to flip. And then you can just kind of lift it up, after like 3 minutes, and then check it every 30 seconds to make sure it's not burning. You just want to get these super beautifully deep golden brown, and they will be amazingly, incredibly crunchy on the outside and deliciously creamy and soft and beautiful on the inside. And one of the reasons I like having the kind of shaggier, coarser texture to these is that it gets you the little, like, extra super duper crispy potato strands on the edges. So, again, your mileage may vary, personal preference, but these are mine, and I think we're just about done. So I think it's time to see how they turned out.
Okie dokie. Let's get into these where they're still nice and crispy and hot and haven't gone stale yet. Fried food just does that. So we've got our homemade applesauce, some sour cream, both very traditional toppings for latkes. And it's never wrong to put ketchup on fried potatoes. Quote me on that. All right, let's give these a taste. Nice and crisp here. I don't know if that came through, but yeah. All right, let's go into the applesauce. That's so good. That's like better than any like store-bought applesauce I've ever had. It's appley and sweet and a little bit sour, and the latke is deliciously crispy and super potatoey, and I absolutely love this. Um, this is very good. I'm very happy with myself. Yep, fried potatoes and ketchup, can't go wrong. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, whatever holidays you may celebrate. Um, until then, I guess that's about it. Have a wonderful rest of your time zone. Happy Hanukkah. My birthday's tomorrow, so happy birthday to me. And I will catch you on the next one. Until then, have a wonderful time. And check out my socials in the description and these videos that are probably floating on screen. Bye, y'all.